If we look at S3 though, there should be, well, S3 Soccode had two relationships specified, a valid one and a not valid one. So actually when we choose S3 here, Soccode S3, we'll see that it did indeed check off create a relationship, the crosswalk between that S3 and that zip code, which is the accounting zip code. And there's no reason to actually even search through the rest because there is no test 123. It was not imported. But we see that it did work anyway. The relationship was created. And again, the soccode S999, there is no relationship created for that because there's no soccode for that to match up. So it skipped over that one as well. So basically these two records that were added to the bottom of the sheet were skipped and not imported, but the other three were. And this can be confirmed real quick by just choosing each one. S1, S2, and S3 all have the checkbox checked. This is actually a good time to bring up, again, the restore a previous import functionality. So if we choose soccode, we'll notice that the system does not have a date of last import because we only done one import yet, so there's no backup of it. But if we choose soccode zipcode crosswalk, it shows that there is a date of last import. There is one saved already because we uploaded that second one with warnings already. So if we want to, we could restore back to that one if we decide that, you know what, that warnings file, I don't like that. I want to go back to the way it was before I made that change. So I'm going to click restore backup, and it says successfully restored table, TBL, soccode, zipcode. Notice that the backup is still in there. It didn't wipe out the backup. But now those two tables, the backup table and the crosswalk table, are synced up. They're identical to be the way that it was the first time that we imported the crosswalk. Continuing the demonstration, we'll now see the front-end website changes on NJTopps.com and how the actual sockcodes are searchable and the additions to the search page, the results page, and some other pages, and how it all ties together nicely. Before we actually jump in to do some searching, we'll look at some of the relationships I created with the test data so that we kind of understand their search results coming back. So it's not just about the GUI changes, it's also about some of the logic that's tied to it. If we go jump really quick to the administration screen and actually look at some of the data. Sorry about jumping around like that, but I had to jump back into it. Okay, so right now we already have the import data, test data imported. We have the following sockcodes, S1 through S4. We're only going to be working with S1 and S2. So we notice that S1 soccode, which has the title soccode title 1, is in demand, and the soccode S2 is not in demand. We're going to look at the crosswalk that I added for each of these. So if we select S1, we'll see that soccode S1 is crosswalked to just the accounting zip code. So basically, any program that has a zip code in the accounting zip code will be associated with soccode S1 and also be marked as on or in demand. S2 soccode is selected as accounting and business management zip codes. The crosswalk is selected as that. And S2 is not in demand. But we notice that there's an overlap in that the accounting zip code is part of S2, but it's also part of S1. And we'll see how that impacts the search results and also filtering the records when we search actually using this data. Alright, so the data is already saved there, so let's jump back to the actual search results page. So let's click on search, and we'll notice some new additions. So first of all, the select occupation, the existing select occupation drop-down list is now updated to say select occupation ONET because this refers to the ONET codes. We have a new category, select occupation SOC, which is the SOC codes. And we'll see in there actually sorted already for us is the SOC code 1 through 4. And the existing the existing other category didn't change. And we'll see also the new additional search criteria. We have the green jobs one from the previous update, target industries from the previous update, but we have a new category, return only programs that are in demand. And we'll see how all this ties together. Also, the other tabs for specialized searching have the same changes. So we see that there's the for the search map or wizard search by map or zip. We also have a new checkbox at the bottom for additional search criteria, and the advanced search page has the same select occupation sock, the same select occupation ONet renamed, and at the very bottom we also have return only programs that are in demand. To keep this a little simpler for the demonstration, we're going to only be doing search by occupation or training type, the first tab. And let's go ahead. So the first result we're going to try is we're going to search for all programs that are associated with Soccode Title 1. Now we know that from the test data already that what we chose was any program that's associated with the zip code of accounting should be returned when we do this search. And we also know that Soccode Title 1, which is S1, is in demand. So first we do a search, and we see that 39 results were returned. We also see that the search recap shows that we did choose occupation SOC as Soccode Title 1. Some of the other things to note is that each return result has this new blue button. It's not just an indicator, but it is also a button, and it shows you that the return program is in demand. And this makes sense because we know that Soccode Title 1 S1 is marked as in demand. So anything that it found choosing this one, they should all be in demand. The new functionality of this in demand button, if you click it, opens up a modal window. It's not a new window, but just a jQuery modal pop-up. Some stuff that's used in a lot of modern websites these days. And what this does is it shows you the current program that you selected, and it shows you the associated occupations, and also indicates whether or not those occupations are in demand or not. So we see that this occupation, being accounting, zip code related, this program, which is associated with the accounting zip code, which is further associated with the Soccode S1 and S2. And we see here that S1 occupation is in demand, S2 is not. And these are not buttons, this is just strictly for information display. So we close the modal, and we now are back to our search results. Next is I want to show that the search, it can be further refined by choosing to return only programs that are in demand. So starting back at the regular search tab, if I choose Soccode Title 1 and then further choose the checkbox return only programs that are in demand, I should also see all the same results that came back as before. Again, 39 results came back, and this makes sense because the programs that are tagged with the accounting indicator, that the accounting zip code, that are further associated with the Soccode S1, and that soccode was all of them were in demand, and that's the only one we chose. So it makes sense that they're all in demand. All right, so let's see how Soccode Title 2 has an impact on this. So if we go back to search, we choose Soccode Title 2. We know from the administrative interface that Soccode Title 2 includes a crosswalk to two different zip codes, the accounting zip code, but also the accounting and business management zip code. So we would expect more results to come back. Also, we know that Soccode Title 2 is not in demand. So some of the results that come back will be in demand, and some of them that come back will not be in demand. So let's go ahead and do the search and see its impact. So it is expected that more results came back, and indeed 48 came back instead of 39 before. And we see that up front, they all look like they're in demand. And if we scroll through the results at first on page 1, almost all of them are in demand. Actually, we see here that one of the results is not in demand, but does happen to be a green job. This has probably something to do with the test data that I've used in the system. They're going to be mutually exclusive for now, but this is a good indicator showing you that right now 2 sets of data are being merged. One has in demand soccode relationships, and one does not. If we click next and see the second page of results returned, we see more in demand data, and we actually see a whole bunch more now. These are programs that are associated with Soccode S2 that are not in demand. So to give you an example of what happens when you click on these modal windows, you'll see that the ones that are in demand are associated by the ones that are in demand are associated by both of the other occupations, and that's because they're getting that in demand on indicator from Soccode Title 1. And if they're not in demand, then you don't see that association. Further, you can actually open up a program and go to its program description page. And the program description page is also updated so that it shows you that the program is in demand. And again, if you click on it, it shows the other associated occupations that are may or may not be in demand. So if we actually go back and we click and open up one that is not in demand, if we click here, we see that it's not in demand, but we do see here that this one, since it's not on demand, but this one was happened to be a green job, so there's a new icon that shows you that it is a green job on the program description page too. The last thing to show is how the checkbox at the bottom, return only programs that are in demand, impacts when you search for Soccode S2. So first we're going to search for Soccode S2 again, so we hit search, and we see that there are 48 results returned. However, if we go back to search and we choose to return only programs that are in demand, we'll now be presented with a further refined list. We see in demand only in the search recap is yes, and there's 39 results returned. And this actually is the same as before when we searched for Soccode Title 1 S1.